So it's been brought to my attention recently that I haven't created any type of gear-related content lately, and I wanted to change that today. This is, I get questions from time to time, not thousands of them, but I get a question here and there about what lenses do I use for landscape photography? What does my lens lineup look like, and what do I recommend? Well, this actually is my entire lens lineup here. I shoot the Sony Mirrorless setup. I switched over from Nikon to the Sony Mirrorless system, I believe it was about a year and a half ago, and I shoot with the Sony a7R Mark II. Now, the first lens I purchased when I got my Mark II was the Sony 55mm 1.8. I know you might say, Mark, that's an awfully weird landscape photography lens, and you're right, it is. But one, it was a good deal at the time. It was kind of a compulsive decision because I ordered the camera from B&H, just the body, and I think they were running a special on this lens, and I knew I needed a lens for the body, so I just went ahead and bit the bullet and went with it. I did do a little bit of research, and all the reviews talked about how sharp of a lens this is. And they weren't wrong. This is definitely the sharpest lens that I own. And, I'm not a real pixel peeper, but I don't know, and I don't, know like the technical aspect of it all, chromatic aberrations, lens coatings and things like that. I'm not really well versed in all that. I know that the images look great, and it creates this kind of micro contrasty feel. The Zeiss lenses and the Sony lenses also kind of seem to do that, and it creates this like 3D effect, and looks really cool, especially when you print the images out. So I really like that aspect of it all. But it was a good deal. It's a small lens, it's lightweight, so I went ahead and went with it. I don't use it a whole heck of a lot, but it's nice to have access to it when I need it. This was my go-to lens for about a year. This is the Zeiss Batis 25mm prime f2. And I love this lens. This and the a7R Mark II was kind of like my staple setup for a long time. I have no complaints with this. It's a nice compact. It's a small lens, and it creates beautifully rendered images. And that's really about all I can say about it. It's a great lens. But, I was running into an issue with prime. Well, first, let me talk about this Batis lens. This is the Zeiss Batis 85mm 1.8. Same lens as this, just different focal length and aperture. But I purchased this for a specific portrait job I was doing. And I don't do a whole lot of portrait work anymore, but when I do from time to time, this is the lens that I like to go with. So what I was saying regarding the prime lenses, I've always been a big fan of prime lenses for a couple different reasons. One, they're usually a little bit less expensive than zooms, and a lot of times you can get better image quality too. So better image quality, less expensive, seems like a win to me. But with the quality of zoom lenses nowadays, I personally can't tell a difference. There could be a difference, but my eye just can't see it. So I was going to Acadia National Park for the Out of Acadia Landscape Photography Conference in Bangor, Maine, this October, and I knew I wanted to purchase a zoom lens. I was running into an issue with my prime where, you obviously can't zoom with a prime, so you have to zoom with your feet. You got to move around a little bit. But what's happening is I was either shooting like right at a coastline, or I was already in the water, or the side of a cliff or something, and I just didn't have any more real estate to move forward. And those type of situations seem to be arising more and more often for me, so I figured it was time to invest in a good wide-angle zoom lens. I knew I wanted to go with the 16-35 focal length, and when Sony released the 16-35 G Master, I knew that's exactly what I wanted until I saw the price tag of, I believe, $2,138 to be exact. And anyway, that's a ton of money. I've never spent anywhere close to that much money on a lens, but did a lot of research. I really kind of hem and hawed about it for a while, but I ended up going with the lens. I'm glad that I did. It's a beautiful lens. Everything about it is super sharp, wide open. The corners aren't soft, or I know there's a lot of issues you get with these super wide lenses, but everything about it is fantastic. It's not super heavy. It's not very big. It's kind of perfect lens for me. And then to round out my entire lens setup is the Sony 70-200 f4. This isn't a 2.8G master. I didn't really need the extra stop of light, but this is the cheaper version. But once again, it's a fantastic lens. I love using it for woodland photography or any type of scene that I really need to kind of compress it. And as far as what I bring with me on every outing, I never bring everything. But these two, the 70-200 and 16-35, is really, this is what's always in my kit now. Every once in a while, I'll bring the 55 or the 25mm, but not too often anymore. I try and travel as light as possible. I hate being out on a shoot. When I bring everything, which I used to do all the time, and I found that I never use it all anyway. But there's nothing worse than just being tired, your back aching. It really kind of takes away from the enjoyment of the entire experience. So I try and pack as light as possible. And these two lenses and this body really help me do that. So that's it. That's my entire lens lineup. I apologize, I don't know all the specs and price of everything off the top of my head, but I'll put links in the description below so you can check it all out and dive in a little bit deeper on the specific details of each lens. And yeah, so I hope you found the video entertaining or informative. If you liked it, if you could give me a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye. Ouch.